This is the closest most of us will get to a state banquet. Tell us about this. So you say it's all very precise.
Yes, we were taught you're going to love this, the rule of inch, which is your thumb. This part of the thumb is normally about an inch. And they always say you place that at the edge of the table like that, and you're measuring the cutlery from the tip of the thumb. That's where the rule of inch comes from, if you've heard that old saying. And that's this part of your thumb. However, at the palace, they're going to more likely use something like this, which is obviously the rulers. And all they do is place it at the end of the table, and they'll make sure everything is lined up from cutlery to the crockery, even to the glassware. It's a lot of place settings. And if one thing's out of place, it's not only noticed, the late Queen used to pick everything up. If something was, even a knife was out of place, and you wouldn't want the Queen telling you off for a knife being out of place, so everything had to be just perfect.
What these glasses tell me is it's going to be a good night.
So let me just explain. You've got your champagne, obviously for the toast. You get your white wine, you get your red wine, you have your pudding wine for the pudding course. You've obviously got water, because you need to be having water throughout the meal, and of course a port at the very end. But what you don't want to be doing is knocking them back and getting them refilled immediately. I mean, a few hundred years ago, that was etiquette, especially with white wine. You would have these little small glasses, and it was almost like shots. But I think if you did it at the palace today, it would make it quite an interesting evening. So moderation is quite important to remember. You would have, obviously, the king would be sitting here, and say you were the most senior female at the event. Say you were the president, for example, the president's wife, for example. You'd be seated on the king's right. And then what would happen is that the king, as soon as you kind of sit down, he'd begin talking to you. And then he'll do this for the starter and the main course, and then suddenly you might get a bit of a surprise, because you might turn round and he's suddenly now talking to the person on the other side. And it's not that you've done anything wrong, it's just that is the rule. For the start and the main course, he will talk to you. He possibly will say, now please forgive me, I'm going to talk to this person on my, whoever's sitting on the left. And what you will then do is you will then turn around and start talking to this guest on your right, and it will cause a chain reaction around the table, so that everybody's then got, because it'll be even numbers, so then somebody's got somebody to talk to.
Will the food have an American theme because it's an American president?
The actual meal tends to kind of stick to the same kind of items, if that makes sense. So what you'll find, the menu will be in French, it's always in French, but what you'll find, it'll probably be a fish course, a meat course for the main course, then you have a pudding course, then you have a dessert course, and just to make it very clear, the pudding, it will be something puddingy. The dessert course is fruits.
And heaven forbid you drop something on yourself.
If you do, then I hate to say you'll probably never be invited back again. But if you do make a faux pas or something goes wrong, just pretend it hasn't happened.